In the perpetual twilight of the deep ocean, far beyond the sun's reach, glide creatures of myth and legend. They are the ghost sharks, ancient beings that have haunted the abyss for 400 million years, a lineage far older than the dinosaurs. With huge, haunting eyes adapted to the gloom and wing-like fins that carry them through crushing pressures, they are the silent sentinels of a world largely unknown. But an unseen threat is gathering on the horizon of their dark domain, a menace born from our insatiable hunger for resources: deep-sea mining. The deep, once thought barren, is now known to be a reservoir of biodiversity and a crucial climate regulator. It is also rich in cobalt, nickel, and copper, the very metals powering our green technology revolution. This has set the stage for a monumental conflict, pitting a new extractive industry against the fragile, ancient ecosystems of the abyss. And at the heart of this conflict are the ghost sharks, whose very existence is now in jeopardy. Known to scientists as chimeras, ghost sharks are among the ocean's most elusive inhabitants. They aren't true sharks. They diverged from their shark and ray relatives around 400 million years ago, carving out their own evolutionary path in the deep. With over 50 known species, they come in a remarkable variety of forms, from the plow-nosed elephantfish to long-nosed chimeras. Their appearance is otherworldly: long, tapering bodies, smooth skin in shades of black, pale blue, or gray, and enormous, often translucent green eyes, highly adapted for seeing in near-total darkness. These are creatures of the deep, typically found between 200 and 600 meters down, living close to the seafloor. Here, in the cold, high-pressure blackness, they use an array of sensory organs to navigate and hunt. A distinctive club-like projection on the snouts of many species is equipped with electroreceptors that detect the faint electrical fields of their prey: small fish, worms, and crustaceans hiding in the sediment. Their entire life is one of slow, deliberate survival, a common strategy for deep-sea species. They are long-lived, some for 30 years or more, and they are incredibly slow to reach sexual maturity, taking over a decade in some cases. This slow-paced life cycle is a key factor in their vulnerability. Unlike species that reproduce quickly and in large numbers, ghost shark populations are devastatingly slow to recover from any disruption. Perhaps the most critical aspect of their biology, especially in the context of deep-sea mining, is their mode of reproduction. Ghost sharks are oviparous, meaning they lay eggs. After internal fertilization, the females release leathery egg cases, sometimes called mermaid's purses, which they deposit directly onto the sandy or muddy seafloor. These egg cases can remain on the seabed for up to a year while the embryos develop, relying entirely on the yolk for sustenance. The seafloor is, quite literally, their nursery. It is this fundamental reliance on the stability of the ocean floor that places them in direct opposition to the destructive nature of deep-sea mining. So why are we suddenly rushing to mine the bottom of the ocean? The push is driven by a global demand for minerals essential for the transition to a low-carbon economy. Electric vehicle batteries, wind turbines, and solar panels all require vast quantities of nickel, cobalt, copper, and manganese. Proponents argue that the mineral deposits on the ocean floor are not only abundant, but also of a higher grade than many remaining land-based mines. They also suggest, somewhat controversially, that it could have a smaller environmental and social footprint compared to terrestrial mining, which is often associated with deforestation and human rights issues. There are three primary types of deep-sea mineral deposits that have garnered commercial interest. First, there are the seafloor massive sulfides, which form around hydrothermal vents as superheated, mineral-rich water erupts from the Earth's crust. Second, you have cobalt-rich crusts, hard mineral layers that form on the flanks of underwater mountains or seamounts. But the main target, and the one that poses the most immediate threat to ghost sharks, are the polymetallic nodules. These are potato-sized concretions of manganese, iron, nickel, copper, and cobalt. They lie unattached on the sediment of vast abyssal plains, thousands of meters deep. The Clarion-Clipperton Zone, a massive expanse of the Pacific Ocean between Hawaii and Mexico, holds the world's largest known concentration of these nodules. The technology to exploit these resources is no longer science fiction. Companies like the Metals Company and Global Sea Mineral Resources are developing and testing massive underwater machines. Imagine a large, remotely operated vehicle, essentially a giant vacuum cleaner, crawling along the seafloor. This collector sucks up the top few centimeters of the seabed, separating the nodules from the sediment. The nodules are then pumped up a riser pipe, kilometers long, to a support vessel on the surface. The unwanted sediment and water are then discharged back into the ocean, creating a vast, lingering cloud known as a sediment plume. For the ghost sharks and the myriad other species of the deep, the advent of this industry represents an existential threat. A recent study by oceanographers at the University of Hawaii highlighted the direct overlap between the habitats of 30 species of sharks, rays, and chimeras, and the areas targeted for deep-sea mining. The research warns that this activity could significantly elevate the extinction risk for these already vulnerable animals. The threats are multifaceted, creating a cascade of environmental destruction. The most direct and brutal impact is the complete obliteration of seafloor habitats. Nodule mining effectively strip mines the seafloor, scraping away not just the nodules but also the thin bioactive layer of sediment that took thousands of years to accumulate. For ghost sharks, this is a catastrophe. Their egg-laying grounds on the soft, muddy bottom of the abyss are directly in the path of these mining machines. The leathery egg cases, incubating for months on the seafloor, would be either buried or destroyed, wiping out an entire generation. But it's not just the nurseries. The nodules themselves are not just inert rocks. They provide a critical hard substrate, a solid surface for a host of unique species to attach to, including ancient sponges, corals, and sea anemones. These organisms, which can take thousands of years to grow, would be completely lost. Recovery, if possible at all, could take millennia. Then there is the choke of sediment plumes. The process of collecting nodules and discharging the waste slurry will create vast clouds of suspended particles. These plumes can spread for hundreds of kilometers, far beyond the mining sites, and persist in the water column for long periods. For filter-feeding organisms like corals and sponges, this is a death sentence, as the sediment clogs their feeding apparatuses, effectively starving them. The sediment also smothers everything it settles on, altering the chemical composition of the seafloor. For visual predators like ghost sharks, the murky water would cripple their ability to hunt in an environment where light is already almost non-existent. The sediment can also physically harm the gills of fish, causing respiratory distress. Recent experiments simulating these waste plumes found they could also release heavy metals, like copper, at levels hazardous to marine life, meaning the toxic effects could extend far up into the water column, impacting a wide range of species. Finally, there's the cacophony of noise and light. The deep sea is a world of silence and darkness. The introduction of industrial-scale machinery shatters this tranquility. The noise from mining vehicles, pumps, and surface ships will create intense sound pollution. Many deep-sea species, including marine mammals and potentially ghost sharks, use sound to communicate, find prey, and navigate. The constant din of mining could interfere with these vital behaviors. Similarly, the powerful lights on the mining robots will introduce intense light pollution into a naturally dark environment, disrupting species that rely on bioluminescence and altering the natural dynamics of the ecosystem. This threat doesn't exist in a vacuum. The deep ocean is already under pressure from climate change, pollution, and deep-sea fishing. Sharks and their relatives are the second most threatened vertebrate group on the planet, primarily due to overfishing. Many ghost shark species are caught as bycatch in deep-sea trawling nets. Their slow growth and low reproductive rates give them very little resilience to these pressures. Mining could be the tipping point, the looming prospect has ignited a fierce global debate. At the center is the International Seabed Authority, or ISA, an organization with the conflicting mandate of both enabling mining and protecting the marine environment. The ISA has issued exploration contracts, but hasn't yet approved full-scale commercial mining because the regulations, known as the Mining Code, are still being negotiated. However, the process was thrown into turmoil when the Pacific island of Nauru triggered a 2-year rule in 2021, a legal provision that put immense pressure on the ISA to finalize the rules or let mining proceed under draft regulations. That deadline has passed, but the pressure to begin remains intense. In response, a powerful global movement is calling for a moratorium, or at least a precautionary pause, on all deep-sea mining. As of mid-2024, over 30 nations, including France, Germany, Canada, and the UK, have joined this call. They are backed by over 930 marine scientists who warn of the risk of large-scale and permanent loss of biodiversity. Major corporations like BMW, Volvo, Google, and Samsung have also pledged not to source minerals from the deep sea. Proponents argue a moratorium would stifle the green transition. However, a growing body of research suggests this need is overstated. A combination of improved recycling, a shift to a circular economy, and innovation in battery chemistry could significantly reduce the demand for new virgin metals. One study projected that by 2050, up to 70% of Europe's clean energy metal needs could be met through recycling. The deep sea is the largest and least explored biome on Earth. We estimate that the majority of species that live there have yet to be discovered. To begin a new, large-scale extractive industry in this realm, before we even have a basic understanding of what's at stake, is a monumental gamble. The damage would be permanent on any human timescale. We risk erasing millions of years of evolution for short-term economic gain. The fate of the ocean's ghostly sharks is inextricably linked to this debate. They are a living testament to the wonder and mystery of a world hidden from our view. If we allow the industrialization of the deep, we not only threaten these magnificent creatures, but we also sacrifice a part of our planet's natural heritage we are only just beginning to comprehend. The unseen threat is no longer unseen. The choice is now before us: to protect the deep ocean and its ghostly inhabitants, or to allow the silence of the abyss to be broken by the roar of machinery, leaving a legacy of destruction that will haunt the planet for millennia.